First story is The Pot of the Wit. Once Emperor Akbar became very angry at his favorite minister Birbal. He asked Birbal to leave the kingdom and go away, accepting the command of the emperor. Birbal left the kingdom and started working in a farmer's farm in an unknown village far away under a different identity. As months passed, Akbar started to miss Birbal. He was struggling to solve many issues in the empire without Birbal's advice. He regretted a decision, asking Birbal to leave the empire in anger. So Akbar sent his soldiers to find Birbal. But they failed to find him. No one knew where Birbal was. Akbar finally found a trick. He sent a message to the head of every village to send a pot full of the wit to the emperor. If the pot full of wit cannot be sent, fill the pot with diamonds and jewels. This message also reached Birbal, who lived in one of the villages. The people of the village got together. All started talking about what to do now. The wit is not a thing which can be filled in the pot. How will we arrange for diamonds and jewels to fill the pot and send to the emperor? Birbal, who was sitting among the villagers, said, "Give me the pot, I will fill the wit in 1 month's end." Everyone trusted Birbal and agreed to give him a chance. They still didn't know his identity. Birbal took the pot with him and went back to the farm. He had planted watermelons on his farm. He selected a small watermelon and, without cutting it from the plant, he put that in the pot. He started looking after it by providing water and fertilizer regularly. Within a few days, the watermelon grew into a pot so much that it was impossible to get it out of the pot. Soon the watermelon reached to the same size as the pot from inside. Birbal then cut the watermelon from the vine and separated it with the pot. Later, he sent a pot to Emperor Akbar with a message that please remove the wit without cutting it from the pot and without breaking the pot. Akbar watched the watermelon in the pot and realized that this can only be Birbal's work. Akbar himself came to the village, took Birbal back with him. Second story is Birbal's Khichdi rice. On a cold winter day, Akbar and Birbal took a walk along the lake. A thought came to Birbal that a man would do anything for money. He expressed his feelings to Akbar. Akbar then put his finger into the lake and immediately removed it because he shivered with cold. Akbar said, "I don't think a man would spend an entire night in the cold water of this lake for money." Birbal replied, "I am sure I can find such a person." Akbar then challenged Birbal into finding such a person and said that he would reward the person with 1,000 gold coins. Birbal searched far and wide until he found a poor man who was desperate enough to accept the challenge. The poor man entered the lake and Akbar had guards posted near him to make sure that he really did as promised. The next morning the guards took the poor man to Akbar. Akbar asked the poor man if he had indeed spent the night in the lake. The poor man replied that he had. Akbar then asked the poor man how he managed to spend the night in the lake. The poor man replied that there was a street lamp nearby and he kept his attention fixed on the lamp and away from the cold. Akbar then said that there would be no reward as the poor man had survived the night in the lake by the warmth of the street lamp. The poor man went to Birbal for help. The next day, Birbal did not go to court. The king, wondering where he was, sent a messenger to his home. The messenger came back saying that Birbal would come once his khichdi rice was cooked. The king waited hours but Birbal did not come. Finally, the king decided to go to Birbal's house and see what he was up to. He found Birbal sitting on the floor near some burning twigs in a bowl filled with khichdi rice hanging 5 feet above the fire. The king and his attendants couldn't help but laugh. Akbar then said to Birbal, "How can the khichdi rice be cooked if it's so far away from the fire?" Birbal answered, "The same way the poor man received heat from a street lamp that was more than a furlong away." The king understood his mistake and gave the poor man his reward. Third story is Birbal's wisdom. One fine day, Akbar lost his ring. When Birbal arrived in the court, Akbar told him, "I have lost my ring. My father had given it to me as a gift. Please help me find it." Birbal said, "Do not worry, Your Majesty, I will find your ring right now." He said, "Your Majesty, the ring is here in this court itself. It is with one of the courtiers. The courtier who has a straw in his beard has your ring." The courtier who had the emperor's ring was shocked and immediately moved his hand over his beard. Birbal noticed this act of the courtier. He immediately pointed towards the courtier and said, "Please search this man. He has the emperor's ring." Akbar could not understand how Birbal had managed to find the ring. Birbal then told Akbar that a guilty person is always scared. Fourth story is 100 gold coins in Birbal. The wisdom of Birbal was unparalleled during the reign of Emperor Akbar. But Akbar's brother-in-law was extremely jealous of him. He asked the emperor to dispense with Birbal's services and appoint him in his place. He gave ample assurance that he would prove to be more efficient and capable than Birbal. Before Akbar could take a decision on this matter, this news reached Birbal. Birbal resigned and left. Akbar's brother-in-law was made the minister in place of Birbal. Akbar decided to test the new minister. He gave 300 gold coins to him and said, "Spend these gold coins such that I get 100 gold coins here in this life, 100 gold coins in the other world, and another 100 gold coins neither here nor there." The minister found the entire situation to be a maze of confusion and hopelessness. He spent sleepless nights worrying how he would get himself out of this mess. Thinking in circles was making him go crazy. Eventually, on the advice of his wife, he sought Birbal's help. Birbal said, "Just give me the gold coins. I shall handle the rest." Birbal walked the streets of the city holding the bag of gold coins in his hand. He noticed a rich merchant celebrating his son's wedding. Birbal gave 100 gold coins to him and bowed courteously, saying, "Emperor Akbar sends you his good wishes and blessings for the wedding of your son. Please accept the gift he has sent." The merchant felt honored that the king had sent a special messenger with such a precious gift. He honored Birbal and gave him a large number of expensive gifts and a bag of gold coins as a return gift for the king. Next, Birbal went to the areas of the city where the poor people lived. There he bought food and clothing in exchange for 100 gold coins and distributed them in the name of the emperor. When he came back to town, he organized a concert of music and dance. He spent 100 gold coins on it. The next day, Birbal entered Akbar's darbar and announced that he had done all that the king had asked his brother-in-law to do. The emperor wanted to know how he had done it. Birbal repeated the sequences of all the events and then said, "The money I gave to the merchant for the wedding of his son, you have got back while on this earth. The money I spent on buying food and clothing for the poor, you will get it in the other world. The money I spent on the musical concert, you will get neither here nor there." Akbar's brother-in-law understood his mistake and resigned. Birbal got his place back. Fifth story is Crows in the Kingdom. One day Emperor Akbar and Birbal were taking a walk in the palace gardens. It was a nice summer morning and there were plenty of crows happily playing around the pond. While watching the crows, a question came into Akbar's head. He wondered how many crows were there in his kingdom. Since Birbal was accompanying him, he asked Birbal this question. After a moment's thought, Birbal replied, "There are 95,463 crows in the kingdom." Amazed by his quick response, Akbar tried to test him again. "What if there are more crows than you?" answered. Without hesitating, Birbal replied, "If there are more crows than my answer, then some crows are visiting from other neighboring kingdoms." "And what if there are less crows?" Akbar asked. "Then some crows from our kingdom have gone on holidays to other places." Sixth story is The Wicked Barber's Plight. As we all know, Birbal was not only Emperor Akbar's favorite minister but also a minister dearly loved by most of the commoners because of his ready wit and wisdom. People used to come to him from far and wide for advice on personal matters too. However, there was a group of ministers that were jealous of his growing popularity and disliked him intensely. They outwardly showered him with praise and compliments, but on the inside, they began to hatch a plot to kill him. One day they approached the king's barber with a plan. As the barber was extremely close to the king, they asked him to help them get rid of Birbal permanently. And of course, they promised him a huge sum of money in return. The wicked barber readily agreed. The next time the king required his services, the barber started a conversation about the emperor's father who he also used to serve. He sung praises of his fine, silky smooth hair, and then as an afterthought, he asked the king that as he was enjoying such great prosperity, had he made an attempt to do anything for the welfare of his ancestors. The king was furious at such impotent stupidity and told the barber that it was not possible to do anything because they were already dead. The barber mentioned that he knew of a magician who could come of help. The magician could send a person up to heaven to inquire about his father's welfare. But of course this person would have to be chosen carefully. He would have to be intelligent enough to follow the magician's instructions as well as make on-the-spot decisions. He must be wise, intelligent and responsible. The barber then suggested the best person for the job, the wisest of all ministers, Birbal. The king was very excited about hearing from his dead father and asked the barber to go ahead and make the arrangements immediately. He asked him what was needed to be done. The barber explained that they would take Birbal in a procession to the burial grounds and light a pyre. The magician would then chant some mantras as Birbal would ascend to the heavens through the smoke. The chanting would help protect Birbal from the fire. The king happily informed Birbal of this plan. Birbal said that he thought it a brilliant idea and wanted to know the brain behind it. When learning that it was the barber's idea, he agreed to go to heaven on condition that he be given a large sum of money for the long journey as well as 1 month's time to settle his family so that they had no trouble while he was gone. The king agreed to both conditions. In the duration of this month, he got a few trustworthy men to build a tunnel from the funeral grounds to his house. And on the day of the ascension, after the pyre had been lit, Birbal escaped through the concealed door of the tunnel. He disappeared into his house where he hid for a few months while his hair and beard grew long and unruly. In the meantime, his enemies were rejoicing as they thought that they had seen the last of Birbal. Then one day after many months, Birbal arrived at the palace with news of the king's father. The king was extremely pleased to see him and ready with a barrage of questions. Birbal told the king that his father was in the best of spirits and had been provided with all the comforts except one. The king wanted to know what was lacking because now he thought he had found a way to send things and people to heaven. Birbal answered that there were no barbers in heaven, which is why even he was forced to grow his own beard. He said that his father had asked for a good barber, so the king decided to send his own barber to serve his father in heaven. He called both the barber and the magician to prepare to send him to heaven. The barber could say absolutely nothing in his own defense as he was caught in his own trap. And once the pyre was lit, he died on the spot. Nobody dared to conspire against Birbal again. 7th story is The 3 Questions. King Akbar was very fond of Birbal. This made a certain courtier very jealous. Now this courtier always wanted to be chief minister, but this was not possible as Birbal filled that position. One day Akbar praised Birbal in front of the courtier. This made the courtier very angry and he said that the king praised Birbal unjustly and if Birbal could answer 3 of his questions, he would accept the fact that Birbal was intelligent. Akbar, always wanting to test Birbal's wit, readily agreed. The 3 questions were 1. How many stars are there in the sky? 2. Where is the center of the earth? And 3. How many men and how many women are there in the world? Immediately Akbar asked Birbal the 3 questions and informed him that if he could not answer them, he would have to resign as chief minister. To answer the first question, Birbal brought a hairy sheep and said, there are as many stars in the sky as there is hair on the sheep's body. My friend the courtier is welcome to count them if he likes. To answer the second question, Birbal drew a couple of lines on the floor and bore an iron rod in it and said, this is the center of the earth. The courtier may measure it himself if he has any doubts. In answer to the third question, Birbal said, counting the exact number of men and women in the world would be a problem as there are some specimens like our courtier friend here who cannot easily. 8th story is The Other Guest. Once a rich man invited Birbal for dinner. When Birbal arrived at the man's house, he noticed that there were several people already present. "Oh, I didn't know you had invited so many other guests." "No, sir, Birbal. These are not guests but my employees who are joining me for dinner tonight. But one among them is a guest just like you." "Can you guess who?" said the man with a smile. "Please tell them a joke, and I will tell you who the guest is," replied Birbal. The man told a joke, and all the guests in the house burst into laughter. "That man over there is the other guest," Birbal said, pointing towards a man. "Yes, he is the one. But how did you guess it?" the amazed host asked. "The joke you said was not so funny." Still everyone laughed, but the guest only smiled. "And that is how I could identify him," replied the smart Birbal. 9 story is The Well. Once a blacksmith bought a well from his neighbor, a farmer. Despite the sale, the farmer continued to draw water from the well. This angered the blacksmith and they both approached Akbar's court for justice. "Why do you draw water from the well when you have already sold it?" Akbar asked the farmer. "Your Majesty, I only sold the well, not the water in it," came the reply from the sly farmer. Akbar sought Birbal's opinion. Birbal turned to the farmer and asked, "So you are saying that the well belongs to the blacksmith, but the water within belongs to you?" "That's right, sir," said the farmer. "Well, in that case, you will have to pay rent to the blacksmith for keeping your water in his well," Birbal announced. The farmer was at his wit's end. 10th story is Justice or the Gold Coin. One day Akbar asked Birbal what would he choose if he were given a choice between a gold coin and justice. "I will certainly choose the gold coin, Jahanpana," came the quick reply from Birbal. Akbar was surprised. There was silence in the court. Everyone was surprised by Birbal's reply. "I did not expect that reply, Birbal. Justice is more important than a meager gold coin," Akbar said with a tone of disappointment. "I am sorry, Your Majesty, but I believe one must ask for what one does not have. Your rule has ensured that there is justice everywhere. However, I am running short of money. Therefore, I chose the gold coin." Akbar broke into a warm smile and rewarded Birbal with 100 gold coins. 11th story is Fear or Love. "I think my people love me," beamed Akbar during his stroll with Birbal in the royal garden. "You are right, Your Majesty. But people also fear you," came the reply from Birbal. Akbar frowned. "I do not believe it." "I will prove it, Jahanpana," Birbal said and shared his plan with Akbar. The next day Akbar announced that he is going to the jungle for a dangerous hunt. As a prayer, his subjects should pour a cup of milk into the large tub placed at the center of the royal palace courtyard. The next day Akbar found that the tub was filled with watery milk. Several subjects only poured water, assuming that the others would get milk and the water would get camouflaged. The following day, Akbar made a similar announcement but this time said that he will check the people pouring the milk. When Akbar returned, he found the tub overflowing with fresh milk. "Didn't I tell you so?" asked Birbal. "This time people poured pure milk because they were afraid that you will find out there is no milk in it. Your subjects care for you, but they also fear, and that is why they filled the tub with milk this time." 12th story is Birbal helps the gardener. One day Akbar stumbled upon a rock sticking out of the soil in the garden. He felt very embarrassed for falling in front of the guards and courtiers. He ordered the arrest and execution of the gardener for his negligence. Birbal came to know about the incident and visited the poor gardener in the prison. He said something into the ear of the gardener. The next day, the gardener was asked his last wish before execution. He said he wanted to see the king. His wish was granted. When he reached Akbar's court, he walked to Akbar and spat on his feet. The courtiers gasped. "What nonsense is it?" thundered the angry Akbar. "Jahanpana," interjected Birbal. "The loyal gardener felt sad that you had to use a silly reason to hang him, and your decision might be criticized by the people. Therefore, he decided to give you a grave reason to hang him." Akbar understood the intent and pardoned the gardener. 13th story is Akbar's Challenge. Akbar was once greeted by a consortium of nobles from different parts of the kingdom. They told the emperor that they had come for the position of royal advisor, which has been with Birbal since years. You can put a test and pick one of us. We can prove that we are no less than Birbal, said the leader of the consortium. Akbar thought for a moment and agreed. All right, I have a test for all of you, Akbar said, removing his waistband. He lied on the floor and told the nobles, please cover me from head to toe with my waistband cloth. The one who succeeds in doing so becomes my advisor. The nobles tried their best, but the cloth was too short to cover the entire body. If they moved the cloth up, the feet left uncovered. And if they pulled it a bit below, the head came into the open. Akbar presented Birbal with the challenge. Birbal took a look at the cloth and told Akbar, Your Majesty, please fold your knees. The emperor did as said. Birbal spread the cloth and this time it covered Akbar from head to toe. The nobles apologized to Akbar and Birbal, and left the court never to challenge Birbal's position again. 14th story is Shot in the Road. Akbar was on a long road journey to a neighboring kingdom on a hot day. The heat vexed him. He complained about the long road to Birbal. Birbal commented that he could shorten the road. Really? Please do that if possible, said the intrigued Akbar. Sure, Your Majesty. But before that you have to solve 5 riddles, came Birbal's reply. Akbar agreed. Birbal started asking the riddles one after the other. Akbar would take time to solve the tricky riddles. Right when Akbar solved the 5th riddle, he said, Too bad you could not shorten the road and I managed to solve all your 5 riddles, he said triumphantly. Birbal smiled. But I have shortened the road, Huzur. We are at the destination. Akbar noticed that they had reached their destination.